Democratic Senator Chris Van Hollen meeting face-to-face with a suspected MS-13 gang member in El Salvador.
Just incredible. Madeleine Rivera is live in Washington with the details. Good morning, Maddie.
Good morning, guys. This was a turn of events after Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen was initially denied from entering that maximum security prison where Kilmar Abrego Garcia is being held. Van Hollen posting this photo on X saying he's spoken to Abrego Garcia's wife and will give a full update soon. El Salvador's President Nayib Bukele is mocking this meeting, saying in part Kilmar Abrego Garcia has miraculously risen from the death camps and torture. He also suggests he's still not looking to release Abrego Garcia, saying he gets the honor of staying in El Salvador's custody. Per the New York Post, a conservative watchdog, the American Accountability Foundation is now demanding an ethics probe into Van Hollen's El Salvador trip. The organization's president says Senator Van Hollen decided that he would use Senate funds to fly to El Salvador and advocate for an enemy of the United States. But Van Hollen argues the government has not backed up its claim that Abrego Garcia is a member of MS-13.
I have been fighting against MS-13 for probably longer than Donald Trump even heard about MS-13.
The administration says an immigration judge back in 2019 found reliable testimony that Abrego Garcia was a member of MS-13, but he wasn't deported because of safety issues. Here's President Trump talking about the case.
I have to refer again to the lawyers. I'll have to do what they ask me to do. I had heard that there were a lot of things about a certain gentleman, perhaps it was that gentleman, that would make that case be a case that's easily winnable on appeal. So we'll just have to see. I'm going to have to respond to the lawyers.
The legal back and forth means this case could ultimately land back in the hands of the Supreme Court. Lawrence, Ainsley, and Brian.
Incredible. Thanks, Maddie.
You got it.
So Senator Van Hollen was able to get his interview.
Yeah. So Democrats have margaritas with MS-13.
Well, we don't know that.
But
That's what he did. It was a margarita.
Pictures look like it was water. I think that was.
Yeah.
Why do they have salt on the rim of water, though?
You're saying that because President Bukele said that miraculously he's risen from the death camps and the torture, now sipping margaritas with Senator Van Hollen in a tropical paradise of El Salvador. Okay, first of all, why isn't he
not in shackles?
Why isn't he in shackles? Where are they eating? He's allowed to leave the prison and then come back? Or is that like some restaurant at the prison?
I don't even know.
I don't know what deal they worked at, I don't know what they were drinking, but at the end of the day, why are you doing this with a criminal? Especially, maybe you could have claimed ignorance before. But over the last couple of days, the DOJ has released what the judge said, which is there was credible information from sources that he was a part of MS-13. He appealed that, and another federal judge said the same thing. Then we found information that he's been beating his wife, and there was credible, two different situations. Ainsley, I think you have some of the stuff.
Yeah, his wife applied for a protective order against her husband in 2021. And this is what she said. I was watching on my laptop, I guess in bed, and he yelled at me to turn it off. I told him I wasn't sleepy. He got angry, reached over, shut, and threw my laptop on the floor. The baby started to cry because he was putting pressure on him. My immediate reaction was to push him off of us, and he then scratched my left eye, leaving me bleeding. She goes on to say she also accused him of ripping her shorts and shirt during another explosive argument later that day. I ran to the bathroom. He ran behind me, grabbed my arm. I have marks on my left arm as well. She was afraid to be close to him, hit her at least 2 times in 2020, once with his boot, another time left her with a purple eye.
So also on his mugshot, when he was actually arrested at that Home Depot, they talk about him hanging out with known MS-13 gang members. You don't usually hang out with gang members if you're not in a gang, but let's just keep going. During the interview with officers, they observed that he was wearing a Chicago Bulls hat and a hoodie with rolls of money covering the eyes, ears, and mouth of the presidents on the separate denominations. Officers show such clothing to be indicative of the Hispanic gang culture. The meaning of the clothing is represent, see no evil, hear no evil, say no evil. And that's when you wear the MS-13 stuff. So that's why a judge looked at his case and goes, this guy's in the gang. When he realized he was going to be shipped out, he said, I can't. He goes, I'm claiming asylum. They go, well, we're going to reject something. He goes, if you reject it, don't send me back to El Salvador because I think my life's going to be in jeopardy. Well, that was one reason why he wasn't deported. Yesterday, he made a statement saying that he had no fear of going back to any Central American nation. So what are you talking about? So this guy's story, he's a wife beater, For a month, she had an order of protection. He was picked up with known gang members, and he was wearing gang member things. And when he was arrested, he had drugs on him and rolls of cash, yet he has no job. That's the man Democrats are going to bat for.
And he was human trafficking in Tennessee as well, taking people from Texas, trying to get them to Maryland. And we had the Suffolk County district attorney who has prosecuted over these 75 members of MS-13. He goes, part of the reason why we don't have part of the violent history is because he was right below a homeboy. So to get officially initiated in there, you have to commit some violent act. So he hadn't reached that stage, that level of MS-13 yet. At this point, he was just an errand boy, but still part of the violent organization.
2 courts said he wasn't MS-13, even though he's denying it. And Donald Trump declared that a terrorist organization. So therefore, he is here illegally or was here illegally, and he's considered a terrorist.
Real quickly, I think this is important because a lot of people have been asking for, why wouldn't they put the source that found him to be a part of MS-13 on the stand? Remember, I've been talking about protecting sources and methods. So I talked to the Suffolk County District Attorney last hour, and he said the only time we put the source on the stand is if it's a murder case. Because once you use that source, you can't use them anymore. Because part of MS-13 is they want to go after rats. You killed the rats. So the people that are confessing to the cops, who are the sources, they killed them. So they said if they got to put them in protective custody. So if they're going to burn a source, then it has to be a murder case.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.